Samsaradava nalalidaloka Tranaya Karduna Gana Ganatvam Praptasya Kalyana Gunanavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam Praptasya Kalyana Gunanavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nitya Gita Vaditra Madhyan Manasorasena Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nitya Gita Vaditra Madhyan Manasorasena Romanchakampa Shutarangavajo Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam Shri Vigraharadana Nityanana Shingarathan Mandiramarjanado Yuktasya Bhaktam Sanyanjatopi Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam Yuktasya Bhaktam Sanyanjatopi Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam Chaturvida Shri Bhagavat Prasada Swadana Triptan Haribaksha Sangram Kritraiva Triptim Bhajata Sadaiva Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam Shri Radhika Madhavayor Bhara Madhurya Leela Gunarupanam Pratikshanaasvadanalolupasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam Nikunjayo no rati keli sedhai Yayali vir yukti rapikshaniyai Tatrati daksha rati vallabhasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinam Sakshadaritvena samasta shastre Uktastatha bhavyate vasadvi किन्तु प्रभोर्या प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् यस्य प्रसादो भगवत्प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादो न गति कुतोऽपि जयंस्तु वांस्तस्य यस्य श्रीसाद्यं वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादिशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसारी गौर भक्तवृंद चैतन्य नित्यानंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसारी गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसारी गौर भक्तवृंद चैतन्य नित्यानंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram, Patita Pavana Sitaram. Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram, Patita Pavana Sitaram. Sitaram Jaya Sitaram, Sitaram Jaya Sitaram. Sitaram Jaya Sitaram, Sitaram Jaya Sitaram. Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram, Patita Pavana Sitaram. Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram, Patita Pavana Sitaram. Sitaram Jaya Sitaram, Sitaram Jaya Sitaram. Ramachandra. Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Sitaram, Sitaram, Jaya Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha, Lakshmi Narasingha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Prajakacharya Shota Shota Shishi Mati Vangrace Aparchana Vrinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder, Charter PPT founder, Charter Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Prajakacharya Shota Shota Shishi Mati Vangrace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai. Nama Charter Srila Haritha Thakur Ki Jai. Premise Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Dadha Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Ayodhya Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Shri Ramanavami Ki Mahosava Ki Jai. Patita Pavana Sitaram Ki Jai. Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glory to assembled devotees. All glory to assembled devotees. All glory to assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glory to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Namaste Narasingaya. Namaste Narasingaya. Praladadayine. Hiranyakashi Purvashaha. Shilatankanakalaye. हितो नरसिंह परथो नरसिंह यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंह बहिर्नरसिंहो हृदये नरसिंहो नरसिंहो हृदये नरसिंहो नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे तव करकमलवरे नकाम् अद्भुतसिंगां दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गां केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव 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 जय नरसिंहदेव जय भक्त प्रहलाद भक्त प्रहलाद भक्त प्रहलाद जय भक्त प्रहलाद निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय भक्त शिरोमणि प्रहलाद महाराज की श्रील प्रभुपाद की वृंदायै तुलसीदेव्यै प्रिययै केशवस्य च विष्णुभक्तिप्रादिदेवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः वृंदायै तुलसीदेव्यै प्रिययै केशवस्य च विष्णुभक्तिप्रादिदेवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः वृंदायै तुलसीदेव्यै प्रिययै केशवस्य च विष्णुभक्तिप्रादिदेवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः जय श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी की जय।
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः तुलसी राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो ए अभिलाषी राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो ए अभिलाषी जे तुम्हार शरण लोय तारा वंश पूर्ण होय। कृपा कोरी करो तारे वृंदावन वासी मोर अभिलाष विलास कुंज दियो नयन हेरिब सदा जुगल रूप राशि ए निवेदन धरो सकीरनुगत करो सेवादि कर दिए कर निज दासी दीन कृष्ण दास को ये न मोरा होय। श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेम सदा ये न बासी श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेम सदा ये न बासी यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च कृष्ण पदे पदे Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Vinde Devi, Jaya Vinde Devi, Jaya Vinde Devi, Jaya Vinde Devi. Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Vrindaye Tulsi Devaye Priyaye Keshavasya Cha Vishnu Bhakti Prati Devi Satyavataye Namo Namaha. Vrindaye Tulsi Devaye Priyaye Keshavasya Cha Vishnu Bhakti Prati Devi Satyavataye Namo Namaha. वृन्दाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णुभक्तिप्रतिदेवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः
O Tulasi, beloved Krishna, I bow down before you again. My desire is to serve the service of Radha and Krishna. Wherever Krishna is you, let's go to the next one. You may my desire is
thus within my
beautiful path of Radha and Krishna. I beg to make me a call or cover and souls Vraja. Please give me the privilege devotional service and make me your own maidservant. This very fallen lotus of the Krishna praise. May I always swim in the love, Shri Radha and Govinda, Vrinda Devi Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. There are 10 offenses in the matter of chanting holy names that should be avoided, and they are as follows. 1. To blaspheme devotees who dedicate their life for propagating holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider the name of the demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, to be equal to independent name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the order of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic literature pursuance of Vedic version. 5. To consider the glory of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to the name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activity and strength of chanting holy name. 8. To consider chanting Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma, kanda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about the glory of the holy name. 10. To not complete faith in the chanting holy names and to maintain material attachments even after standing so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to achieve desired success. Krishna Prema. Now let us have a most humble obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just as the trees who can fulfill to everyone, and they are full compassion, fallen, conditioned souls. Chaitanya Shastakam ki jai. Cheto Tarpana Marjanam Pavamahadavakni Nirvapanam Shriya Kairava Chantrika Vitaranam Vidyavatu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purunarmita Sadhanam Sarvatmasnapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatra Pita Niyamita Smaranena Kalaha Etadishi Tava Kripa Bhagavam Mamapi Durudaiwami Disham Yaha Janina Nurakaha Trinatapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sashnuna Amanina Mahanatena Kirtanya Sadaharihi Na Thanam Na Janam Na Sundarin Kavitam Va Jagadishakamaye Mama Jammani Jammanishware Bhavata Bhaktir Haituki Tvai Ayinanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mang Dishame Pavam Buddha Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaja Stithaduri Satisham Vichintaya Nayanam Karadashuru Daraya Vadanam Kadkata Rudaya Gira Pulakaya Nichitam Mapurkada Tavanama Kahane Bhavishati Yuga Itam Nimishena Chakshusha Pravisha Itam Shunya Itam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virahe Name Ashrisava Padaratam Pinnashtumam Atarshanam Harmahatam Karotuva Yatha Tathava Vitathatu Lampato Matprananatastu Saeva Naparaha Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Chaitanya Shastakam ki jai. Glory to Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction of humanity in the large, because it spreads the rays and benediction moon. It is life of all transcendent knowledge. It increases us to transcend bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction human beings, and thus you have hundreds of millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, our kindness enables us to easily approach you by holy names, but I'm so unfortunate I have no attraction for them. We should chant holy name of the Lord in humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. We should be more taller than a tree, devoid all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, we can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotion service, birth after birth. O Son of Marjananda, I'm your eternal servitor, yet somehow I fall into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the items of your lotus feet. O my Lord, while my eyes spectacular tears of love flowing constantly when I chant the holy name, while my voice choke up, one with hair my body stand and end, a recitation of your name. O Govinda, feeling of separation, I'm considered a moment to be like great millennium. Tears are flowing from eyes like torrents of rain, and feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and it shall remain so if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipable Lord, unconditionally. Shri Chaitanya Shastakam ki jai. Shri Guru Pranam and Mangala Charanam prayers ki jai. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshum Litam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Soyam Rupa Kata Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhuitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pachata Deshatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Shri Varshabhanvi Devi Daitaya Kripaptaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhuryo Chala Premadya Shri Rupa Nuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudapa Siddhanta Dvanta Harine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sashat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambara Sambodhe Padam Bojayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gauravir Bhava Bhumestvam Nirdeshta Sajana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jaganathaya Te Namaha Vancha Kalpatarupyacha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jatam Sroto Pangor Mamamanda Materkati Masarvaswa Padam Bojo Mata Vadam Mohano Divya Dvindaranya Kalpajumadaha Shimadrana Singhasanasto Shrimad Radha Shila Govinda Devo Prishtaribi Sevamano Smarami Shriman Rasara Sarambi Vamshi Vata Tatastitaha Karsham Vinu Suner Gopir Gopinatha Shri Yestunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanishvari Vishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Dada Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Vigraha Anadirati Govinda Sarvakarana Karana Chintamani Prakarsatma Sukalpa Vriksha Laksha Prite Susura Vipali Antam Lakshmi Sahasra Sambhrama Sevyamanam Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Vijami Yenam Konantam Aravinda Dadaya Taksham Barhavatam Samasitam Sundarangam Kandarpa Kotika Maniya Visesa Sobam Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Vijami Alola Chandra Kalasatmanamal Yuvamsi Ratnam Gadam Pranaya Keli Kala Vilasam Shamanti Mangala Tapakasam Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Vijami Angani Yasya Sakarandriya Vrittimanti Pasyanti Pantika Yanti Chiranjaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadujvala Vikrasya Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Vijami Pantasta Koti Satavatsara Sampradam Purana Purusham Navyovanam Cha Vede Sudurlabam Adurlabam Atmabhavdo Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Vijami Pantasta Koti Satavatsara Sampragamyo Vayu Ratapi Manasomani Pungamanam Sopyastiyat Prabhadasimya Vichintya Tattve Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Vijami Ekopya Sora Chayitam Jagadanda Kotim Yaschakti Rasti Jagadanda Chaya Yadanta Andantarasta Paramanu Chayantarastam Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Vijami Yat Bhava Bhavita Diyo Manujasta Taiva Samprapya Rupa Mahima Sanayana Bhusa Suktaryam Eva Nigama Pratitastuvanti Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Vijami Ananda Chinmaya Rasarpati Bhavitabis Sabirya Even Chirupataya Kalabi Goloka Even Sata Kilat Babuto Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Vijami Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochana Santaksa Devi Hidayasa Vilokanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Vijami Ramadi Murti Sukalani Meditistana Navataram Makarod Bhuvanesakintu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramam Pumam Yo Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Vijami. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme Godhead. He has an eternal, blissful, spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, and he is the prime cause of all causes. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor, who is tending to the cows, yielding all desire, in abodes built with the spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute, with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with head decked with peacock feathers, with the figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, round whose neck is swinging a garland of flowers beautified with the moon locket, whose two hands are adorned with the flute and jeweled ornaments, who always revels in pastimes of love, whose graceful threefold bending form of Shamsundar is eternally manifest. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality, and is thus full of the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of that transcendental figure possesses in himself the full-fledged functions of all the organs, and eternally sees, maintains, and manifests infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas, but obtainable by pure, unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purusha, yet he is a person possessing the beauty of blooming youth. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayama by drilling the respiration, or by the jnanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of the mundane, extending over thousands of millions of years. He is an undifferentiated entity, as there is no distinction between potency and the possessor thereof in his work of creation of millions of worlds. His potency remains inseparable. All the universes exist in him, and he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe at one and the same time. Such is the primeval Lord whom I adore. I adore the same Govinda, the primeval Lord, in whose praise men who are imbued with devotion sing the mantra suktas told by the Vedas. By gaining their appropriate beauty, greatness, thrones, conveyances, and ornaments, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, residing in his own realm, Goloka, with Radha resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of the ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities. In the company of her confidants, Sakis, embodiments of the extensions of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Shyam Sundar, Krishna himself, with inconceivable innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts, with the eye of devotion tinged with the salve of love. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who has manifested himself personally as Krishna and the different avatars in the world in the form of Rama, Nrsimha, Vamana, etc., and his subjective portions. Srimad Bhagavatam Grantharaja ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutali Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gurumani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Satarni Kashi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasana Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we're going to do a quick summary of what we've studied, and then we're going to finish today. So we began with how Christianity deviated from Vedic knowledge of God. And it started with Aristotle, who said there were two types of souls, one mortal and one immortal. That already is wrong. But it began with Aristotle. And then came Origen, around 185 to 254 after Christ. Aristotle was about 384 before Christ. So about 500 years later comes Origen, and he was a Christian philosopher, and he said that souls are created. If they're created, then how can they be immortal? And Krishna says, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, to Arjuna. So Krishna is saying that the soul is eternal in the past, the present, and the future. So now we see two deviations, one by Aristotle. He says there's two types of souls, one that's mortal and one that's immortal. And now Origen says that the souls are created at a certain time. And what does that lead to? That leads to the problem that if they're created, how can they be immortal? Right? So then we come to Augustine, and he said, well, if there are two types of souls, then since animals do not possess an immortal soul, they are meant for our use, dead or alive. And therefore, when it says thou shalt not kill, it actually means you shouldn't kill human beings, but it's all right to kill animals and eat them. So here we have three major deviations, beginning with Aristotle, then Origen, and Augustine. Now, Augustine was around 354 to 430 after Christ. Now we come to Aquinas, Thomas Aquinas, the biggest philosopher of the Catholic Church, and whatever he said, they're still following today. Aquinas says that the humans, it's the theory of the creation of a human soul at the moment of conception. So whatever was said by Augustine, and then before that Origen, Thomas Aquinas validated that. And it's the belief that each individual human soul is created at a point in time, lives his life, and thereafter is saved or damned eternally. In other words, now he's saying there's only one life, and the soul begins when there's birth in the body. So these are, all major deviations from Vedic Dharma, right? And they've been accepted by Christianity, and they're still accepted today. And then what happens is when you say there's only one life, and you're going to be judged, and some people are born, with congenital diseases, or they're born crippled, or they're born blind. Other people are born completely healthy. So there's no way explaining why this is happening other than either God is not all-powerful, or God is he is mean, right? Or that there's no God. See? So Augustine and Aquinas broke with the Platonic tradition and made it difficult for subsequent philosophers to understand evil in the world. If there's no transmigration of the souls, then where is divine justice? Why is one person born this way, another person born that way? See? So how can we account for fortune and misfortune? Why is one man pious, knowledgeable, beautiful, or opulent, and another man impious, ignorant, deformed, or poor? Why, on the basis of one finite lifetime, is one man eternally saved and another eternally damned? Why is God so arbitrary, so unmerciful? Having rejected the possibilities of transmigration and karma, Western philosophers have been troubled all the way down to the present, because evil exists, they argue. Either God's power is limited, or he is not all good, or he doesn't exist at all. Okay. So then, those are deviations, and they're still being practiced by the Christian church, and it creates a lot of problems for people. That's why anyone who's really intelligent, they'll turn away from Christianity, because they see that there's a lot of mistakes in their philosophy. Now, Hinduism also has deviated seriously from Vedic Dharma. So we covered about 13 points, but quickly, the Mayavad philosophy is complete nonsense, and it has no validity at all. The false practice of the Hindu caste system is complete nonsense, and we explained how that happened yesterday. And then the man gods, the false so-called incarnations masquerading as God, another complete nonsense. And then for performance of Vedic ritualistic ceremonies for material benefits, another nonsense thing. It just supports materialism. It has nothing to do with spiritual life. And then karma yoga and mystic yoga, or Ashtanga yoga, adulterated by material desires such as elevation to the heavenly planets. That's jnana yoga. Karma yoga, that's karma yoga, being elevated to the heavenly planets. And then jnana yoga is to become liberated in impersonal Brahman. And then Ashtanga yoga is developing the yoga siddhis. All three of these are material desires, and they're corruptions of pure devotional service. Only bhakti. So you have karma yoga, jnana yoga, Ashtanga yoga, and bhakti yoga. Only bhakti yoga, when it's purely practiced, is Krishna consciousness. There is such a thing as bhakti mishra, or bhakti mixed with material desire. So that's also not pure. But when there's pure bhakti, then one is actually liberated. Okay, so then number 6 is the false concept that service to mankind is service to God. Manava seva is Madhava seva. It's the opposite. Madhava seva is Manava seva. So that's another nonsense theory. Then the idea religions are God by any path. Another nonsense. Is not true at all. And then the Mammonist meaning someone who is interested in making material, let's say, opulence and wealth. The Mammonist concept of life, purporting that the goal of life is to work hard and then enjoy sense gratification. This is practiced in many Christian sects, and it's complete nonsense. And then the belief that one can understand God by mental speculation, logic, reason, and scientific research, complete nonsense. It's impossible to understand God. We gave all the Shastric evidences yesterday, debunking each one of these things. Then 10, the demigod worship with the misconception that all gods are equal. Another complete nonsense. It's not true at all. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The demigods are demigods. They're not equal at all to Krishna. And they're still conditioned by the modes of material nature, including Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. Although their contamination is very, very little, but still it's there. Okay, so then next, number 11, the acceptance of Western pedagogy or atheistic humanism for the teaching method in India, as well as in the West. So this is why your kids are being indoctrinated with nonsense every day in school today, and it's a type of abuse sending them to these schools. Then, number 12, the false concept of Daridya Narayana and Harichan rubber stamping of people without real vetting or training. So that was, Gandhi and other people like that, nonsense people, just rubber stamping people, but not really training them. And then the 13 is the belief that industrialization, technology, economic development will evolve the country to prosperity and advance national security by production of atomic bombs, intercontinental rockets with nuclear weapons, etc. This is total nonsense. It doesn't help anyone. It just makes everything worse. As we can see it today. Russia is openly saying we're gonna have a nuclear war if this thing continues in Ukraine, right? So what does that do? Does that make people safe, or does that put people in jeopardy? See? So these weapons and the fact that they're at any time just yesterday, a American general, he said, I'm really worried. So far, there were just 2 countries that had large stocks of nuclear weapons. Now China has decided to, instead of having a few hundred nukes, they're going to increase to the same level as Russia and the United States. So now you have 2 antagonistic countries that have double the number that will have by 2035, double the number of nuclear bombs than the United States. That's extremely dangerous. That means if they both work together, which is what they're doing now, they could wipe out the United States. So you see this whole idea of economic development and having atomic bombs, and it's not advancing society. It's threatening to destroy society. And then number 14, the belief that by philosophical speculation one can understand this world and the meaning of life. This is called the ascending process of knowledge, or aroha. So there's aroha, the ascending process of knowledge, which is based on inductive reasoning. In other words, the scientific method. You have a hunch, you do some experiments, you see some pattern, based on that pattern, you make up a theory, and you see how much validity there is, or how much predictability there is to that theory. So that never leads to perfect knowledge, because it's based on speculation. And we have imperfect senses. Because of our imperfect senses and the fact that we're using speculation, we'll never get the truth. And therefore, this philosophical speculation, it's not going to help us understand this world, and it's not going to help us to understand anything about the spiritual world. Okay, and that whole system of knowledge called Aroha Panta, the ascending way of knowledge, is bogus. You'll never understand anything about the spiritual world or what the purpose of life is like that. We follow the Avaroha Panta, the path of descending knowledge from perfect authorities. And the most perfect authority is Krishna himself. And whoever repeats what Krishna says, they are also authority. Right? But you have to repeat correctly without omitting anything or adding anything. Okay, then number 15, the belief that there is no absolute truth and that everything is relative. Well, that's what's being taught in schools today. There are no absolutes. Everything is relative. And it's complete nonsense. There is absolute truth. It's called Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, so now that this brings us to where we stopped yesterday. So number 16 is rejection of the laws of karma and reincarnation, and the belief that there is only one life and nothing after death. This is taught in the schools, and many people believe this today, and because of that, they feel they're liberated so they can commit sinful activities and nothing is going to happen. And it's completely wrong. And that's why bad things happen to these so-called good people. See, every day they put these chairs in front of these panels. I don't know why they're doing that.
Keep changing them, but everybody puts it.
What?
Every day I keep changing it.
I know. I mean, it's crazy. Thank you. And they took one panel down. I think Namarata did it because I told them I didn't like the size of that panel. I wanted it to be the same size as the other three. For some reason, some crazy reason, he made it half the size. It's so silly. Anyway, he's making the new panel. Okay, so there's rejection of the laws of karma. Why? Because people don't want to feel guilty about committing sins. So they reject things that are true and to live a false life of sense gratification. So the rejection of karma and reincarnation. They say, no, I don't want to be reincarnated. I'm satisfied just having one life and dying, and then my only prayer is that there's nothing after death. What? How do you know there's nothing after death? Crazy people. You know, these are all crazy nutcases. But that's what a lot of people believe today. That there's nothing after death. So therefore they feel, oh, then I can do all kinds of nonsense. See? Okay, now number 17, the belief one can prolong life in the material body by different techniques such as cryonics, supplements, having a what you would call a proxy body. Oh, there it is. Oh, they hit it. Whoa, very clever. Oh my God, so clever. No, leave it where number 4. Yeah, very clever. I guess somebody didn't like that panel. That's why. Too much truth in one place. Okay. So let's look up Calico, C-A-L-I-C-O, the company that Google started to prolong lifespan and eventually attain immortality, or at least make death optional. Oh, they love these words. They love playing with words. Make death optional. That means if you want to die, you can die. But if you don't want to die, well, we've solved that problem. You don't have to die. This is nonsense. Just completely misleading people. So let's read about Calico. That's the name of the company that Google has started. They started with a $1 billion investment in that company to prolong life and eventually solve the riddle of death. What's it say? Get the microphone. Now you're going to hear a lot of what's called mellifluous words. Mellifluous means sweet words that mean nothing. Go ahead.
So, Hare Krishna Maharaj, it says, we are curious by nature. I'm reading on their website, kaliloslabs.com. So,
Calico.
So it says, we are curious by nature. We love science and have the sense of wonder that is required to succeed in an uncharted area such as aging. We are excited and humbled by the opportunity. We deliberate. We are deliberate. We are deliberate about creating a community in which calico scientists and engineers have the freedom to explore, take chances, and follow their own scientific.
Okay, that's a bunch of blah blah. Read farther on.
Okay.
They're glorifying themselves. What's their goal? Go ahead.
There is aging is like a snowball, exponentially growing and gaining momentum as it rolls down a hill. Can we delay its start or reduce its speed? We believe the answer to these questions will be found in system biology.
In what?
System biology.
What?
System biology.
System biology.
Biology, yeah.
Who knows what that means? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think
Keep going.
they
All right. Anyway,
so yeah,
go
that's
ahead.
not much information actually.
It's a bunch of blah blah, but no, the real. Okay, look up Kurt.
Ray Kurzweil.
Look up Kurtweil. Kurtweil. He's one of the main scientists in Calico. He's the one making all these fantastic or incredible promises that are never going to be achieved. You see his name, Kurtweil? Kurtweil.
Ray Kurzweil?
What?
Is it Ray?
Yeah, Ray
Yeah.
Kurtweil. Go ahead. What's he say?
Searching one.
Go ahead.
So this is when it was introduced, the project, Google's project to cure death.
Yes, there you go. Exactly right. Go ahead.
Calico announces 1.5 billion research center. Google introduced Calico to the world with the bold ambition of curing death.
There you go. Curing something, they're never going to reach it, but go ahead.
CEO Larry Page and Google Ventures head honcho Bill Manus and futurist Ray Kurzweil, who Google hired as its director of engineering, have all expressed a deep interest in radical life extension and the singularity.
Radical life. Okay, singularity means the point where you no longer die. And no, singularity, no, it's referring to when computers can do the same thing as human beings. And they're claiming it's going to be somewhere around 2050.
Mm.
Right? They're making all these false claims, right? And so they're working towards singularity where the computer is equal to a human being or better. And number two, for prolonging the lifespan of a human being and eventually making death optional. See where they say that. Making death optional. In other words, you want to die, you can die. But if you don't want to die, we have the solution. This is all crazy stuff. It's Looney Tune nonsense. But yet they're getting away with it and they're spending all these big bucks. You see where it says death may be optional?
Death.
Go ahead.
2045, death will be optional.
There you go, 2025.
2045. 45.
2045, death will be optional. You see, they're making all these nonsense predictions that they're not going to be able to do.
Yeah. Death will soon die.
Death will soon die, right?
And man will become immortal soon.
Well, they're going to have to readjust that. They'll say, we will all die before we reach immortality, right? Which is a fact.
And those two people are already at least in their 60s, Maharaj.
Yeah, of course. Ray Kurzweil is older than that. And he's taking like all these supplements because he wants to be alive for the singularity and for the death the death of death.
So yeah, the two genetic injuries have claimed that death will soon die and man will become immortal soon. As per their research, the death will become optional by 2045 and humans will be able to live forever.
You see what they're promising, stuff that is impossible, and dumb people believe it, and therefore they're all stacking up on supplements so they can live till 2045 and have death as optional. And this is going. Look at they're spending billions of dollars on this. You see, it's not only is it a waste of money, it's misleading people to have false faith in such things.
The same people say the aging is a technical problem, and that can probably be reversed.
Probably, nice word. Probably.
Then humans can die only in the accidents, it seems. Never of management all this.
Okay. Now look up cryonics. Cryonics. These are things that are going on today. They're complete nonsense, but a lot of people are believing it and hoping for it. And what are they hoping for? They want to be immortal in the material body. That is impossible. The body cannot live more than 100 years or a little bit more. That's it. There are ways of prolonging life, but you would have to become a yogi and control your breath, because the lifespan of everyone is determined by the number of breaths they take. Yes, go ahead, brother.
I'm looking at the meaning. The practice of freezing the body of a person who has died from a disease in the hopes of restoring life at some future time when a cure for the disease has been developed.
Okay, let me ask you a question. If we freeze you right now, you think you're going to be alive if we thaw you?
Immediately die.
No, you immediately die.
Yeah.
This is crazy stuff. This is completely crazy stuff. And they, what did they say? They didn't say that they're guaranteeing that when you're thawed out you'll be alive. They say, with the hope that, read that again.
Yeah.
The procedure will begin only after clinical or legally dead, Maharaj.
No, just forget about that. What does it say again? What you read?
The practice of raising the body of a person who has died from a disease in the hopes of restoring life at some future time.
In the hopes. What? What is that? That's not science. In the hopes that? This is nonsense. And by the way, the first company that did that in California, they went bankrupt. Look it up. They went bankrupt. They turned the electricity off, and everybody thawed out, and they were all died. They were all dead. Not one of them came back alive when they were thawed.
So there is a Google question and answer. Does cryonics actually work? The short answer, no.
So, you know how much it costs to get yourself frozen like that and kept frozen? It costs about $200,000.
A year, yeah. So as of 2014, about 250 corpses have been cryogenically preserved in the US, and about 1,500 people have signed up to have their remains preserved. As of 2016, 4 facilities exist in the world, 3 in US and 1 in Russia.
Amazing. You see, all this is all Looney Tune crazy stuff. But yet people believe it and they're willing to put big money into it. Okay, so now that's cryonics. Now look at nanotechnology to preserve life. These are all different techniques that they're using or exploring to increase the lifespan of people. And people are believing it, and they're investing in those companies with the hope that they'll make a breakthrough, and then they'll be the next Amazon or who knows what. You know.
Can nanotechnology save lives? Harvard professor and scientific genius George Whitesides believes that nanotechnology will change medicine as we know it.
Believes. What does that mean? Is that science? Believes? So nanotechnology means you have microscopic agents that can go through the entire bloodstream and heal sicknesses.
Yeah, so the nanorobots would be able to repair the damaged DNA and allow our cells to function correctly.
Yeah. Another pipe dream. Another what you call
the definition says
Akash Mahal.
Hava Mahal.
Hava Mahal.
The
Castle in the sky. Yeah, you can say it, but you never find it. Right?
it says it is the manipulation of matter on near atomic scale.
Right. Yeah. So they think that can make people immortal. All right, now look up robots with the brain of a person with the brain of a person downloaded into a computer. So they'll make a robot that looks exactly like the person, and they'll download all the information in their brain into a program, and then the robot will continue to exist because it's made of matter, right? And then the person will become immortal in that way. That's a bunch of nonsense, but look that up. That's another way they're trying to do it. You found it? Now, there were older techniques to prolong life. Like, for example, they cut out the genitals of a gorilla or another animal, and they replaced the testicles of a human being with the testicles of a gorilla or a monkey or something like that. That was an expensive operation. You have to go to Switzerland to have that operation. And that would make them have more sex in the future when they get old.
So Elon Musk is building that. Yeah. Elon Musk builds a machine.
Okay, wait a minute. Read into the microphone.
You want to read?
No. Good.
Okay. Elon Musk builds a machine to download our brain and personalities.
Yes.
Tesla CEO announced he will be able to start large commercialization of a humanoid robot.
Humanoid, right?
Yeah.
Looks like a human being, but it's
Yeah.
actually a robot.
In 2023.
Oh, that's this year.
Yeah.
Whoa. I wonder if he's going to be able to do it. In other words,
Yeah.
they're going to download everything in the brain of a person into a software, and then they put that as the brain of the person in the robot that looks exactly like the person, to create, to get perpetuality of a dead person. It's complete nonsense. It's not going to work either. Because some guy named maybe Yugoslav, Slaviki in Ukraine will hack the robot and it'll end up in a junkyard. That's also going to happen. The hackers will learn how to hack into the robots that are walking around, so-called immortal robots, and they'll all end up in the junkyard. Okay, so you see, Elon Musk also, he's a very clever guy, right? He's using AI technology to make money. He's going to download your brain into software, and then he's going to make the hardware, the robot, that looks exactly like you, and now you became immortal. You live forever, yeah.
Yeah.
What? What? Give the microphone.
I think in 2022 someone asked Elon Musk, if you could upload your brain to the cloud and talk to a virtual version of yourself, would you be buddies? And to that question, Elon Musk replied, already did, without offering any type of explanation.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he did it in a dream already. You see, this is all nonsense. It's complete nonsense, but people are believing it. This is how desperate they are to believe anything. It's just like a drowning man grabbing a straw, hoping that he can hold on to it and survive. It's nonsense. Okay, so your homework, I want you to make a sheet of paper or a sheet or two of all these crazy ideas for perpetuating life or making it immortal. Each one of those ideas is nonsense. None of them will work.
AI is actually really growing out of it, I think.
What? AI?
Yes, because you can just upload.
No, yesterday, remember what we read yesterday? That the CEO guy, he said 80% of the IT
jobs will go.
jobs are going to be lost. AI and IT jobs will be lost, and it's exciting. Right? Remember?
Yeah.
He said it's exciting.
Yeah.
That shows how
Vinod
mean
Sun
they are.
Microsystems, that guy, Sun Microsystem.
Vinod Khosla.
Vinod Khosla. But I saw the.
And he's an Indian guy, right?
Yeah, Indian guy. I saw one demo, Maharaj, like, you don't need to do a presentation. So you just upload your picture, choose template, and it will create a presentation which you can deliver to any team. And it feels like, oh, when you see the video, it says somebody directly actually talking. So it's a fake, but everything is ready-made presentation, so, and then upload it. So that's so advanced. I mean,
Is that Chap something?
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT, not ChatGPT, but yeah, general.
Close to it.
Based on the AI only. So
Same idea.
and code and everything, like, you don't need to do anything.
Right now, ChatGPT is like number one to find anything. Either it's any information.
It's Microsoft?
OpenAI.
OpenAI company, but Microsoft funded
Microsoft
it.
is the major
So
funder.
Yeah, so it's Microsoft.
Microsoft one, yeah, they bought generally, yes.
You see, Mangala is a smart guy. He's overcoming Bezos and Musk. You see how they're all competing with each other. You know, they all want to cut each other's throat.
So Elon Musk was on the body first on OpenAI,
Yeah.
and then he quit because it's conflicting interests with Tesla. But now he is making alleging against
Aligned.
Yeah.
No, he in fact wants
Against
the
Meta.
innovation to be stopped for
Yeah.
some time.
Yeah.
Oh, the
They put a
metaverse?
public letter yesterday,
Yeah.
including Elon Musk.
So he's afraid of the metaverse?
No, he says that the rapid pace at which the
Oh,
technology
AI is going.
AI
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
growing
It's too fast.
It's too fast, and it will disrupt all the industries and workforce.
Do you think anyone's going to listen to him? They're not going to listen to him.
It's
No,
one way.
that's because he's a little bit behind them.
Yeah,
So he's got to slow them down so he can catch up and then go beyond them.
that's exactly what.
He has conflicts with Bill Gates now because Bill Gates is supporting this, and he said Bill Gates doesn't understand AI. I mean, that's kind of statement he made.
They all understand perfectly. It's screw you, screw me blues.
Elon Musk in the past also, he raised concerns about AI, saying that if this cannot be controlled, it will be problem.
No, they're worried about the singularity. When the computer can do exactly the same thing as a human being, that eliminates the human beings.
Yeah.
Right? And that, how are you going to make a living? What kind of work? You have to come and work at the farm. You see?
I think the only thing that differentiates
Food.
yeah, the only thing that at that point differentiates is the devotion, Maharaj.
The devotion?
Because only we can do the devotion, whereas robots won't.
No, they'll program the robots. The robot will be going, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
They'll chant much faster.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Ram. He'll be chanting Hare Krishna 24 hours a day.
Right? Robot will not sleep. One day they may be sitting here and arguing better than us. Okay?
No, we have it already. You can buy it. It costs $20, right? You can hear the Maha Mantra all day long.
The chat GPT basically trains on what you feed them, like the prompts, as they call it. So initially when you said Hare Krishna, it didn't realize that. What is Hare Krishna? So then it says, it gives you the details and all. But then later it knew that Hare Krishna is form of a greeting.
It's what?
It's form of a greeting.
Yes, it is, yeah.
And then when you say Hare Krishna, this is the, then it replies back, Hare Krishna, how are you?
I'll actually give a practical way. When your event launch, the book launch, I wanted to test what Chat GPT will give if I want to put like a WhatsApp message. So first I said, write a WhatsApp message, and then I put few sentences, His Holiness Harivilas Maharaj's book on this, and
What did it
so
say? Some idiot living in
no,
living in a temple.
So first it said something that's more typically used in the karmic world, like, oh, great news, like that, it said. And then I just changed one word, create ISKCON devotee WhatsApp message. I just added ISKCON. And right away it said, Hare Krishna devotees.
Whoa.
And on top of that, because it picked up on, because we have the defending Prabhupada's words, it actually added sentences like our beloved founder Acharya. So it picked up a lot of things and then made that really compelling. So it was actually pretty
Interesting. Okay, so the last point. Belief one can enjoy results of actions independently of God, and thus one becomes bound by karmic reactions. If one engages in Krishna's service, he can be unbounded by karmic reactions. So people believe that they can enjoy the results of actions independently of God, and because of that, they get completely controlled by the laws of karma. No one can get away with anything, let's put it like that. How can you get away with anything when Krishna is in the heart? He knows everything you're thinking, desiring. No one's going to get away with anything. There's definitely no actions independently of God. The belief one can enjoy results of actions independently of God. Okay, so that's 18 points of deviation in Hinduism. What?
17.
You give only 17 are there.
Yeah.
I know. I have to give you. I'm going to rewrite this and then give it to you. This is much more complete now. All right. Any questions? So now your homework is, we just went over all these crazy ideas of prolonging life or becoming immortal. Give a short summary of each one that we discussed today. And if you find more nonsense ideas like that, you can add them. I want to have a sheet with all these so-called ways to become immortal or make death optional or see the death of death.
So Maharaj, question. So to convince like this 18 points, whatever you come up with, and we can talk or tell this to people, but as we are discussing, right? So the other things are going so faster pace. So how actually we can catch up? Looks like we have to catch up on that. Like people are seeing the change so fast, like going through AI or whatever, the technology is changing, all people surrounding, everything is changing. And we are still trying to convince them like, okay, this is bad, or we are trying to defeat those. And we don't have solid things to convince.
We don't have to try and defeat them. We have to explain how our alternative is much better.
Yeah.
We don't need to defeat anybody.
Yeah, but to explain also.
We have to show how our Krishna consciousness is better.
Yeah, just saying better, how will they will convince, like, because they need to see. In general, I mean, I'm talking about a person in general, thinks about, they want to believe something what they feel, see, around, feel, and experience, right? To convince that, okay, this is bad, just not going to help, right? Saying, oh, this is bad, this is good, something like,
no.
Unless they feel experience.
Listen, the path to immortality was explained 5,000 years ago by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You have to be able to expertly, like Prabhupada, explain the value of Sanatana Dharma lifestyle. And it's not difficult to do. It's much easier to follow the rules and regulations of Krishna consciousness and make your life a success and go back to Godhead. And beginning with giving up the four regulative principles: meat, eating, gambling, illicit sex, intoxication. It's not difficult to convince a person to give those things up. Look, you have the statistics right there. That those statistics are real. There are millions of people dying every year of overdoses on drugs, of sexually transmitted diseases, of gambling, and of course meat eating and so forth. So we're not making anything up. Krishna 5,000 years ago, he said, don't do these four things. And it's become part of the culture today. And because that's, all these people are dying unnecessarily. So it's not a hard thing to sell to people, to convince people. But you have to be convinced of it first, and you have to understand how to explain it in a meaningful way. And so that's what we're going to be able to do. We're going to make this booklet with pictures of what happens if you do those things. We have actual pictures now for photos of people taking fentanyl and different types of diseases. You know, every day there's some new disease that's coming up that's communicable, right? Because of this meat eating, gambling, illicit sex, and intoxication. And a lot of people are dying from it. So nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to ruin their life. Nobody that has half a brain. So it's not difficult to convince people to give up the four regulative principles. Once they do that, then they come to the mode of goodness. And only in the mode of goodness are you able to understand Krishna philosophy. But everybody's in the mode of passion and ignorance, running around, trying to make money, have sex, and so forth. So all have to do is convince them to give up those four things. That'll change the society. And it's not difficult because it's in their own interest.
So Maharaj, seventh point, the idea that all religions are equal and that one can reach God by any path. So here Muslims also think their religion is great, no Maharaj. How can we put ours in that? Seventh point.
The idea that all religions are equal and that one can reach God by any path. No, that's not true.
They think theirs is supreme, no Maharaj. I mean, Muslims, Islam is great. They think
And
they.
see, you have not read enough. You read Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Lord Chaitanya is explaining with Chandkazi. And there he shows Chandkazi that have many mistakes in Islam. So you're not reading enough, Prabhu. Okay.
Prabhu, just follow up on this. I was in the similar situation when I was talking to a couple of my friends who love meat. Okay, I didn't know how to tell them. Then I guess I in the past I asked similar question to Maharaj, and Maharaj directed me to these things. Okay, all I did is first I understood those things. I took a picture and I forwarded them. Okay, and then there was little discussion, whether those things are real or not. Okay, then I just
where you can find the validation of those points.
Exactly.
Right there.
Right. Okay, so he asked me, like, he was arguing. Then I thought, okay, it's like, because it's clearly said World Health Organization something, it should be available in Google. And then at least one of them, after some time, he came back that okay, I think I probably have to stop at some point, maybe after 5 years or something. That actually made me, I feel like,
No, you should say, well, if you can come to the temple, we do surgical cutting of your genitals. What? You get all scared.
Yeah.
No, yeah. See, he's saying 5 years. In other words, I'm going to do nonsense for another 5 years.
Yeah.
But after 5 years, well, I'll do another 5 years also.
I mean, I'm happy at least they're thinking in that.
At least they thought a little bit about it. See?
Right.
Because those statistics are real.
Yeah, and they're really good, Mataji. Sorry, Prabhuji. Maharaj, okay.
Okay, you have a question? Give her the microphone. You have to come get the microphone. This is an equal opportunity microphone.
The point is about like all these different religions. They reach God, but God is really vague. That's a very vague concept, and we're trying to get to Goloka Vrindavan specifically. So it's like maybe they're getting to some kind of a God, but it's not what the God that we want to get to, because we want to go to Krishna. Is that a good kind of an explanation? Like if somebody wants to say,
you have to come to class on a regular basis. We teach you how to preach effectively. You see. So the problem is devotees don't actually come to class on a regular basis. So where we're discussing the strategies of how to convince people, right? That's the whole point. So if you're not trained, you won't be able to do it. You have to first follow the rules and regulations strictly yourself and chant 16 good rounds every day. That means you have to go to sleep early at night and wake up early in the morning to be able to do that, and then also have time to come to the class and listen very carefully and participate in the homework. Right? Then you'll get the training how to preach effectively to people. You won't be able to do it if you're a half devotee. Every once in a while you do some things good, and then there's a period where you're not doing anything right, and then you come back again, then you go away again, and you come back again, go away. Halfway is not good enough. It has to be all way. So when a person gets real serious about Krishna consciousness, they will also learn how to effectively convince people to give up at least these 4 things: meat, eating, gambling, illicit sex, and intoxication. Okay, of course, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
I gave this homework to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT wrote the answer point.
What did they say?
I was actually trying this. What happened? So it's saying.
Hare Krishna. So Maharaj, this is the answer by ChatGPT for today's homework. So it says, as an AI language model, it's important to note that these ideas are purely speculative and not based on any scientific evidence or research.
Which ideas?
I gave the homework, write down the crazy ideas about prolonging life.
Yeah,
That's
they're saying, giving the truth. They're all speculative.
Yeah.
There's there's no validation that you're going to increase your lifespan by downloading your brain into a software and putting that software into a robot that looks like you. That does not create immortality.
Prabhu, did the ChatGPT use crazy word?
Yeah, I use the in question. And they write down the crazy ideas about prolonging life. That is the question I'm putting to ChatGPT. So then it says, these ideas should not be taken seriously or attempted in any way. Number one, upload your consciousness to a digital format so that you can exist forever in the digital realm. And develop a machine that can transfer. Point number two. It has given the 10 points.
Oh, send that to me. That's interesting.
So we can regenerate Maharaj, so every time it will generate a different answer. More deeper and deeper if you want.
You can try out Maharaj actually. This one is yours. It's very easy.
So
just use your Google account and that. It's online.
So Maharaj, now they're saying that the new jobs will be prompt engineer.
What?
ChatGPT prompt engineer. So we don't need to write actual documents. We don't need to write code. We just need to ask the right questions.
Yes.
So they're going to train people in terms of how to ask questions.
See, that means people are subordinated to the
Technology. Just like when calculator came, people stopped doing the mental math.
Or Alexa.
Yeah.
So now they don't have to think anymore. They just have to ask a question.
Yeah. With Alexa, you don't need to
wait a minute. That's the Vedic process.
But the only thing is whom we ask.
Questions, right?
Yeah.
Pranipat, paripasnena, and sevaya. You have to be submissive. You have to ask significant questions, and you have to offer service. Then you create a positive atmosphere of exchange of questions and answers by the Guru.
Yeah, I don't know whether
they're
the seva.
coming back to this verse. Tat vidi paripatena, paripasnena seva. Upadaksyami te jnanam ganinas tatpadarshana. You have to be submissive. You have to ask important questions, and you have to offer service.
Yeah.
Like, maintaining the robot, or maintaining the
That's the seva.
Yeah. Seva. You see, so you're coming back to Bhagavad Gita now through AI, artificial intelligence. You see how we could preach now?
Yeah. That's also the prescribed process in the scriptures.
Yeah. All glories to Prabhupada. Very interesting. See, we learned something new today. They're going to come around back to Krishna consciousness through this AI nonsense. Okay, so have Guru Puja. See, when you come to class every day, you learn something new. Okay, yeah. That's his job.
I want to do it.
You do it. Go ahead. Very good.
Can I start? Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhagati Sadma
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Sadma
Banamui Savadana Mate Jahara Prasade Bhai E Baba તોરિયા જાય કૃષ્ણ પ્રાપ્તિ હો જય હોય તે गुरुमुख पद्मावक्या चित्त कोरिया क्या
गुरुमुख पद्मावक्या चित्त कोरिया क्या Aranakor
यो माने आशा श्री गुरु चरण रति ऐसे उत्तम गति
श्री गुरु चरण रति ऐसे उत्तम गति
साधे पूरे सर्वा आशा
प्रसादे पूरे सर्वा आशा
चक्षुदान दिलो जय जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से
चक्षुदान दिलो जय जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से
दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशिता
दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित
प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाश जाते
प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाश जाते
वेद गाय जहर चरिता श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आदम जनार बंधु
श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आदम जनार बंधु
लोकेनाथ लोके राजीवाना
लोकेनाथ लोके राजीवाना
आहा प्रभु करो दया देहा मोरे पाद छाया
प्रभु करो दया देहा मोरे पाद छाया
एबे गाइस गुसु त्रिभुवना शिल प्रभु पद पतित पवना
प्रभु पद पतित पवना
जय प्रभु पद जय प्रभु पद जय प्रभु पद जय प्रभु पद
जय प्रभु पद जय प्रभु पद जय प्रभु पद जय प्रभु पद
जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा
जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा
नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांता स्वामी नित्यानामिने
नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांता नित्यानामिने
नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य विषतारिणे
नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादिशतारिणे
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवत्सरित गौरभक्त वृंदा
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल
हरि बोल गौर हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल नित्य गौर प्रेमानंदी की विष्णुपदाय कृष्णस्ताय श्रीमद् भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परम जगच्चास्त्र तुलसी श्री श्री महाराज श्री भक्तिवेदांत गोस्वामी महाराज श्री प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय नमस्कार श्री दास की जय श्री Agnes Thakur ki jai. Prem Shri Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Guranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana ki jai. Namah Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastava Namaste Saraswati. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain the pure devotion of souls. I bow down to this lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and attain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus feet. Attachment to his lotus feet is in perfection and fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him, ecstatic prema emanates. By him, ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread throughout all the three worlds. We take shelter of your lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana Ki Jai. Namah Om Vishnu